Transforming the fear of death. A journey of testimonies, connections, and rebirth. Death has been, throughout history, one of humanity's greatest mysteries and fears. However, what if, instead of conceiving it as the end of existence, we saw it as a transition, an energetic transformation that connects us with a deeper and more expansive reality? In this video, we will explore the fear of death from various perspectives: psychological, philosophical, spiritual, and mediumistic, drawing on testimonies from people who have experienced near-death encounters and on the revealing communications of world-renowned mediums. Our goal is to offer a message of hope, growth, and love, inviting us to reconsider the word death as a natural process of rebirth and connection. The fear of death, a human constant. It is undeniable that the fear of death is a universal experience. From the very young to the elderly, the uncertainty about what happens at the end of life has been, and continues to be, a recurrent theme in human existence. The question, do all people experience it, is answered affirmatively, because regardless of our circumstances, culture, or health, the awareness of the finiteness of our being generates unease. This fear is nourished by the unknown and by the apparent break in the continuity of what we have built, our relationships, our projects, and the identity we have forged over the years.
The fear of death is not limited to the possibility of leaving behind physical existence. It is intertwined with an existential anxiety that questions the meaning of life.
Philosophers such as Martin Heidegger and existential psychologists like Irvin Yalom have pointed out that acknowledging our finiteness can generate profound anguish, but also, in managing it, an opportunity to live with greater authenticity.
Modern psychology recognizes that this fear can trigger states of anxiety, depression, and sometimes even avoidance behaviors. Yet, it also invites us to reflect. Isn't it the awareness of death that drives us to value every moment, to seek meaning, and to cultivate deep relationships? In this sense, transforming the perspective of the end into a stage of change and growth becomes a pathway to a fuller life. In Many Lives, Many Masters, Brian Weiss leads us to a universe in which the memory of the soul transcends time and space. Through the hypnotic regressions of his patients, Weiss discovered that souls carry with them experiences from past lives, lessons learned, and above all, a message of hope and continuity. The messages from the so-called masters in this book reveal that the essence of the human being is eternal, and that death does not erase but rather transforms and reintegrates vital energy into an infinite cycle. These accounts not only offer comfort to those who fear death, but also provide evidence that consciousness and love do not extinguish. Instead, they become an even more potent and universal force. The central teaching is clear: our essence, often referred to as soul or spirit, is immortal, and death is only the beginning of a new phase in our journey of learning and connection.
Alex Recco's book, What It Feels Like to Die, gathers dozens of accounts from people who crossed the clinical line of death and returned to tell the tale. In its 208 pages, Recco highlights key points from these incredible experiences. They describe leaving the body, passing through a tunnel of light, and being welcomed by luminous beings who convey unconditional love. Many see relatives who died before them, offering words of encouragement and revelations about the purpose of their lives. Some describe a kind of movie in which decisions, actions, and their impact on others are evaluated. The lesson here is that every gesture matters. Despite the peace and fullness they experienced, almost all felt their mission was not yet complete and chose to come back.
When I understood that love is eternal, I knew that death is not a full stop but a comma. Testimony from one of the experiences in Rocco's book.
To enrich the journey, we add findings from pioneers and modern science. In 1975, American psychiatrist and philosopher Raymond A. Moody published Life After Life, a work that not only popularized the study of near-death experiences, but also coined the term near-death experience to describe them. Based on more than 150 interviews with people who had suffered clinical death and were then resuscitated, Moody identified a surprisingly consistent pattern in their accounts. He described common elements: tunnel, light, feeling of peace, encounter with beings, and return. At the intersection of emergency medicine and consciousness research, Dr. Sam Parnia, director of the Human Consciousness Project, designed the AWARE program to evaluate whether human consciousness can manifest during and after cardiac arrest, when the brain is supposedly non-functional. He recorded gamma brainwaves in cardiac arrest patients, suggesting that consciousness can shine through moments of apparent cerebral inactivity. His initial study, published in Resuscitation in 2014, included 1,014 patients from 25 hospital centers in the US and UK, with a pilot phase of 140 interviews in which 9 survivors described verifiable NDE details, suggesting perception during resuscitation, although only 2% met all formal criteria. Peter Fenwick, a British neuroscientist, became interested in near-death experiences after reading Raymond Moody's Life After Life and hearing one of his own patients' stories. Since then, he has collected and analyzed over 300 NDE cases, becoming one of the most influential scientific voices in the study of these phenomena. He has explored how such experiences can profoundly alter the beliefs and values of those who undergo them, propelling them toward a more compassionate life. Numerous testimonies from people who have experienced near-death encounters offer a transformative and hopeful vision of what awaits us beyond the visible. Below, we delve into the personal story behind each of these accounts. Víctor Sueiro, the master of transition. Víctor Sueiro was an Argentine journalist who, on June 20, 1990, suffered a cardiac arrest that left him clinically dead for 40 seconds. What he recalls witnessing led him to question the nature of existence, opening a path of inner transformation. Sueiro shares his knowledge and experiences, insisting that death is simply a metamorphosis in which vital energy is reinvented and elevated to a higher plane. His approach invites people not to fear death but to embrace the idea that who we are endures beyond material existence. He authored 7 books about his learnings and beliefs, the first of which is titled Beyond Life.
Dannion Brinkley, The Light Saved Me. Dannion Brinkley, known for his moving testimony in the book The Light Saved Me, experienced several near-death encounters that radically changed his view of existence. It all began in 1975 when, at the age of 25, Brinkley was struck by lightning and awoke 28 minutes later in the morgue. According to his later accounts, he claims to have felt his consciousness detach from his body and immerse itself in an environment of light, unconditional love, and absolute peace. During those moments, he encountered beings of light who taught him a way of seeing life as part of a continuous cycle of learning and evolution. His story, detailing the momentary separation from the physical and the integration with a vibrant universe of energy, has become a beacon of hope for those seeking to understand the natural process of transformation after death, highlighting the continuity of consciousness. Eben Alexander, From Skepticism to Revelation. Eben Alexander, a renowned neurosurgeon, was a staunch skeptic regarding mystical experiences and the existence of a soul independent of the brain. However, in 2008, after contracting a severe meningitis that plunged him into a deep coma, he experienced an event that challenged all his scientific beliefs. During this altered state, Alexander entered a realm of light and wisdom, perceiving a reality where consciousness transcends the physical limitations of the brain. His account, documented in his book Proof of Heaven, has sparked intense debate and opened the door to the possibility that the mind and soul exist independently, suggesting that death is, in fact, a transition to a dimension of infinite knowledge and love.
Michael Newton, explorer of life between lives.
Psychologist and hypnotherapist Michael Newton specialized in exploring what occurs between lives through hypnotic regression techniques. Over decades, Newton gathered testimonies from his patients that revealed encounters with spiritual guides and experiences in scenarios defying the logic of time and space. In his influential work, Life Between Lives, Newton describes how the soul undergoes a continuous process of evolution and learning, where death does not represent a definitive end, but the beginning of a new stage in the spiritual journey. His work has been fundamental in cementing the idea that energetic transformation is a real phenomenon, and that our essential being continues its journey on higher planes of existence. Anita Moorjani, Healing Through Love. Anita Moorjani, who faced aggressive cancer, experienced a near-death event that led her to radically transform her perception of life and suffering. During her critical state, Moorjani felt enveloped in a deep connection with the universe where she understood that unconditional love is the force that drives existence. This revelation not only facilitated her physical healing process but also offered her a new perspective on human destiny. Death becomes a liberating process, a threshold that allows us to transcend fear and embrace a life guided by authenticity and compassion. Her testimony, collected in Dying to Be Me, inspires thousands of people to live fully and to see the end of the life cycle as the beginning of an experience filled with light. Although each account is unique, they share a common thread. Death is not a sentence to oblivion but a transformation that allows us to continue evolving on a plane of existence where love and energy manifest in unexpected ways.
The voice of the mediums, connection with the immortal. In addition to the testimonies of those who have experienced the transition, there are the voices of renowned mediums who, through their gifts, allow us to glimpse what happens after physical departure. These experts in channeling messages from beyond offer profound insights into the continuity of the soul and the existence of consciousness beyond the body. Noelia Pace, a channel that brings comfort to souls. Noelia Pace, an Argentine medium and channeler, has dedicated her life to establishing bridges of communication with disembodied souls. Through her sessions, Pace has provided messages filled with comfort and wisdom to grieving families, confirming that the essence of our loved ones persists in another dimension. Her work has helped transform the pain of loss into an experience of connection and hope, reaffirming that death is just another step in the journey of the soul. As the author of several spiritually focused books, her work in Open Session seeks to answer all these questions related to death as an evolution. Lorena Perello, messenger of light, healing, and wisdom. With international recognition, Lorena Perello stands out for her ability to channel messages from spiritual guides and souls that have transcended the physical plane. Perello imparts teachings that invite us to see death as a natural transition, a change of state that brings us closer to a reality where love and energy vibrate in perfect harmony. Her sessions have provided answers and relief, demonstrating that communication with the beyond is not only possible, but also fundamental to our spiritual evolution. Currently working on her first book, her personal journey is fascinating, filled with overcoming her own fears and embracing acceptance.
Raquel Saez, a channel of love and union. Raquel Saez, another internationally renowned medium, has built a solid reputation by establishing channels of communication with beings of light. Her messages, laden with empathy and guidance, help rebuild the emotional bond with those who have departed, reminding us that physical separation does not mean the loss of love or connection. Along with other figures in the mediumistic field, Saez teaches us that the essence of our loved ones continues to exist in a state of elevated consciousness, offering comfort and reaffirming the idea of the soul's immortality. She recounts her personal story in her book The Embrace of the Soul, where she lovingly addresses issues related to death and purpose. Her ongoing contributions, and her school, help others develop and enhance their own capacity for connection with the beyond. Energetic transformation, science, spirituality, and connection. Physics teaches us that energy is not destroyed, it is only transformed. This fundamental principle of the universe invites us to apply the same logic to human life. Why fear death if the vital energy that composes our being is simply reconfigured and renewed? Near-death experiences, hypnotic regressions, and mediumistic communications all suggest that the end of physical existence is merely a change from one state to another. The power of love, bonds that transcend time. One of the most comforting findings from these testimonies and experiences is the persistence of love beyond physical life. The emotional bonds we form with our loved ones act as energetic bridges, keeping alive the connection between those who have departed and those who remain on Earth. The love we have, understood as a universal energy, is the force that drives transformation and sustains the cycle of life and death. In this way, even though the physical form may fade, the essence remains and continues its evolutionary journey in a continuous exchange of energy. By viewing death from this perspective, we can understand that the physical farewell is not a definitive break, but a transition to a new form of relationship where essence and memory merge into a continuous experience of connection. Let us cherish love, for it is the most powerful remedy against the fear and loneliness that often accompany the idea of separation. The message is clear. In every farewell there is a promise of reunion, in every transformation the possibility of rebirth. By valuing love and emotional connection above fear, we learn to see death as a natural and enriching part of the soul's journey. The fear of death is an experience inherent to our human condition, but it is not a destiny of darkness and separation. The accounts of Alex Rocco, the work of Moody, Parnia, and Fenwick, the testimonies of Víctor Sueiro, Daniel Brinkley, Eben Alexander, Michael Newton, and Anita Moorjani, together with the wisdom of mediums like Noelia Pace, Lorena Perello, and Raquel Saez, show us that death is actually a transition to a reality of love, light, and continuous learning. Each testimony invites us to rethink our view of the end of life. Those who have crossed the threshold share their experiences and teachings with us, and now it is our task to trust that every ending is simply the door to a wonderful reunion with life in its purest form, a place where wisdom, peace, and love are present, and the energy that composes our being is reconfigured in an infinite cycle of learning and connection. By transforming our perception, we discover that death is a bridge to a fuller existence, a natural process in which energy is recycled. The soul continues its journey, and the bonds of love become the true essence of our immortality.
If you found this video interesting, give it a like and share. That way, you'll be helping me continue creating content that can contribute to others. Thank you very much.